Hi there, everyone. This is Dan Dingsøyr reporting for Press for Truth, and today we're going to be speaking with the Honorable Paul Hellyer. Sir, thank you very much for taking some time to speak with us today.
It's my pleasure.
Now, in the past, you have been a rather large critic of the Bank of Canada and calling for the need for monetary reform. And I'm curious, as a former Minister of Defense, somebody who's been embedded within government, when did you come to the realization that there was something wrong with the banking system here in Canada?
When I was in college.
Oh, wow.
I asked my professors if recessions and depressions were necessary, and they couldn't give me a straight answer. And so I figured it out for myself, and that's the reason I went into politics in 1949. They said there was going to be a huge depression in 1950. I said to myself, it isn't necessary, so I've got to do something about it. So to the amazement of everyone, I ran for Parliament in 1949 and got elected. And then, of course, you find out that you don't have much say in monetary matters, let alone anything else, when you're a backbencher. But the Korean War came along in 1950, and the Depression didn't happen. And so things went along very smoothly for the next 20 or 25 years. And this wasn't an issue for a long while until later on, and it's become a very great issue since 1974 when they departed from the system that got us out of the Depression and through the post-war years.
Well, for people who might not be familiar with what exactly took place, what the shift was in 1974, where did things go wrong for Canada in 1974?
Well, until 74, from 39 to 74, the money creation function was shared between the Government of Canada and the private banks. And that meant that the Government of Canada got basically zero-cost money for a very large proportion of the new money that was created. And consequently, they could do things like, getting out of the Depression, helping to win the war, and then the post-war things like the St. Lawrence Seaway and the Trans-Canada Highway and so on, and laying the foundation for our social security system, because they had zero-cost money to put in with what they had to raise from taxes, and so taxes were reasonable, and they had enough money to spend. Well, then in 1974, the governor of the bank really changed the system by adopting what he called monetarism, which in effect was taking orders from the Bank for International Settlements in Zurich, Switzerland. And they said you can no longer provide zero cost or cheap money to governments. And he went along with that. Consequently, we had to start borrowing in the market, paid as high as 22% for borrowed money in 1981, went further and further in debt, and the cost of changing that system, which is still in effect today, between 74, 75 and 2010, 2011, is $1 trillion, $100 billion, the Canadian taxpayers. None of it was necessary. And you can just imagine if somebody wrote us a check for $1 trillion, $100 billion today, what we could do with it to do the things that we've been putting off and that need to be done. So it's basically that governments who own the patent to create money on behalf of the people should take back some of that power which they have given for zero cost to the banks, to private individuals. And to take back some of it, I'm recommending 34% of all new money should be created by governments. And in my book, The Money Mafia, World in Crisis, I have a formula there of how we should move the transfer from our present system to that one, which would give us extra cash for the next 7 years to do all the things that are not being done, and also to pay down maybe a third of the federal government debt. And it's the way we should go. And unless somebody does that and it spreads to the whole world, you're going to have a continued recession type thing for as far ahead as you can see, because there just isn't enough money coming into the stream to promote growth and to put to work all of the young people who are looking for jobs. And money is the gasoline of an economy, and if you haven't got it, the economy is not going to grow properly. And as long as you have to borrow it, you're dead.
Well, when it comes to borrowing, does it come down to the fundamental issue of who the lender is, or is it more about this fractional reserve lending in the first place?
Well, it's the same thing, really. The fractional reserve lending started out at 2 to 1, and now it's 20 to 1. The banks take 95% off the top. That's the reason I called my book The Money Mafia. And we have to reduce that ratio and have to take back the power to create enough money to balance our budgets at the federal and provincial and municipal levels. And it has to be done globally. But it has to start somewhere, and Canada would be a very good place to start because we own our central bank. Not all people do. The Americans, for example, still have this crazy system where they gave the bankers the right to create their money, and they have to take that back one of these days after 101 years. And unless they do, they're not going to prosper the way they should.
What do you think of the initiative set forth by Comer and the right now with the lawsuit against the Bank of Canada, or the trying to get them to instill it back into the hands of the people? What are your thoughts on the Comer case? Is this what we need to do?
It was a brave effort on the part of Bill Krem and Ann Emmett and Comer, and it's going well, but it's very expensive and it's very long term. And even if Rocco files a good a case, you're talking about maybe in a year before it's held, and then it'll be appealed to the Supreme Court, which is another year. We can't wait for a year or two. More power to them, and I'm on their side and have been all the way along. But we can't wait 2 years to start putting back to work the million people, young people in Canada who are looking for jobs. And we can't wait to start solving the problem for the people in Spain and Greece and so on, where your unemployment is 20 or 25%, and the whole situation is about to disintegrate. So we have to do something. We have to do it now.
Is there a way to fast track this, or is it really a matter of Canadians just, are people going to have to hit rock bottom to be able to understand just how bad things really are?
Well, I don't know. They're going to have to do something to get the government to do it. And it's so easy. A government who wanted to do it, it would take about 2 weeks to put it through Parliament. They could have $150 billion in their bank account in 2 weeks if they adopted what I've been recommending for the last 2 or 3 years. And they split that with the provinces. And the provinces looking after the municipalities. You could solve problems at all these levels of government, and it would really, it's what we're looking for, and then other countries could follow. But whether you can find a government that will do it without having 50,000 people march on Ottawa or not, I don't know. But one way or another, we've got to do it.
Absolutely. Well, perhaps we can get enough people behind this. And for the people who are watching this now and who are interested in learning more from you on this, where can they go to learn more? What are the books, and is there a website where people can go to learn more from you?
Well, they can get my book from the website, which is paulhellyerweb.com, or they can get it from Amazon or from other places. Bookstores can order it for them.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for talking to us, Mr. Paul Hellyer.
No problem. Thank you very much.